Well, I just love to start off by you telling us who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Erin Olszewski. I'm from right outside of Tampa, Florida. I'm a registered nurse. I am a mama to 3 little boys, and I'm also a Army combat veteran. Served in Iraq from 2003 to 2004. So, yeah, that's a little quick background on me.
Yeah, so you're registered in Florida, and then I know you obviously served up at the hospital. It was considered the epicenter, New York.
Yes.
So what made you decide to go there during all of the pandemic?
Yeah.
And when?
Well, I mean, it was about a year ago. I mean, I can't believe that we're already a year past this.
Yeah.
Or into this, I should say. We're not even past it. So yeah, it was right around March 2020. The hospital I was working at in Florida, they were furloughing people left and right. I was working out in the tents in the emergency room. We weren't seeing a big influx of patients. Everyone's eyes were on New York. Like, what's going on over there? So we treated our patients with hydroxychloroquine, zinc protocol, sent them home. They were fine. I mean, we didn't have that. So I was presented an opportunity to travel to New York. I'm like, listen, I've been to war already. They're calling it the front lines and war zone. So I took it. I had the blessing of my manager and supervisors, and they're like, are you sure? Because I'm like, yeah. So I packed my bags. I was there in 2 days to hurry up, get here. Got there, landed, sat around for 3 days with nothing to do. So that was kind of my first red flag. Found out other nurses were sitting around for up to 21 days, an entire month, getting paid $10,000 a week. So if they needed nurses so bad, that's why are you bringing me here if there's nurses sitting around? Red flag. I did get assigned to Elmhurst Hospital, which ended up being the epicenter of the epicenter. I'm like, my luck, of all the places. But my very first day on shift, I was shocked. It was something I've never seen before. I think that I compared it in my expose to like a third world country worse. Patients were alone in their rooms on ventilators. My colleagues wouldn't even go into their rooms half the time. IPPs were outside of their rooms. No family was allowed in, and people were just dying from just gross negligence, medical malpractice, mismanagement. So a lot of people just not caring anymore. They just thought they were disposable, they're going to die anyway. And for me, that was really difficult to swallow. And everything made sense to me at that moment, why there's so many deaths in New York. And I went back to my hotel, and I remember I just broke down, crying, hands and knees, and I'm like, I gotta do something, And I ended up calling a bunch of my friends and nursing friends from all over, and I asked them if they could get on a Zoom call. And I told them, what was going on. A nurse practitioner, a friend of mine, acted as my proxy. Just by chance, she put out a Facebook video and ended up going very viral. In a week, she was getting death threats. It was really bad. No one believed her, and I'm like, no one's going to believe me either. So, contacted an attorney in New York. We figured out that I'm going to need some to record it. I got a pair of spy glasses delivered to me, and the rest is history. I recorded them murdering patients. I recorded just the complete, absolute disregard for human life. And then, obviously they fired me eventually because they found my social media. I think the post was, President Trump, please investigate New York City Health and Hospital System is corrupt. It was no liability. They're banning alternative treatments like the hydroxychloroquine. The only thing that they would do is put people on ventilators, knowing that it was killing 100% of the patients. $13,000 to admit patients. They were just admitting everybody. They didn't utilize the comfort ship. They could have. Like these people that came in with a cough didn't need to be on a ventilator. They needed to go to the comfort ship, but they didn't. They were told to stand down. And $39,000 to put them on a ventilator that they knew would kill them. And then, in some cases, $10,000 every death, ban the autopsies, kick out family. It was the perfect storm. And people took advantage of it. And that's why we're at where we are right now. Yeah.
So kind of what's your reaction? Obviously it's, we're a year later.
Yeah.
What would be kind of your thought process now? How are you looking at COVID lockdowns, stuff that's happening now? What's your reaction?
A year ago, about a year ago, I think my expose came out in June. I got a lot of hate. I am talking like it was bad. I feared for my life. I actually moved into a heavily gated community because people didn't want to believe it, And now a year later, people are like, "Wow, this is real. That did happen."
You're not a quack.
I'm not a I'm totally redeemed myself, But slowly the truth is coming out, and I do think that we are at a tipping point right now. I think the lockdowns are absolutely uncalled for. I even think telling people to stay home in the beginning of this was completely uncalled for because those people stayed home and got even more sick, so that caused more deaths. But to be taking away people's freedoms based on New York numbers. Most of the other states based all of their lockdowns on the New York numbers, which now we know were lies. Which now we know were from Cuomo putting these patients into nursing homes. No one wants to talk about that. And that's why it's going to take us to do the talking and to be the voice of the voiceless, which are all the patients that died unnecessarily.
So what would your kind of advice or what would you tell people who are maybe even still scared or they're still just kind of cautious about what's going on with the virus and the lockdowns and mandates, all of that? Kind of what's your response to that?
It's not scary. They're not focusing. No one's focusing on preventative health and what you can do. Quercetin is a natural alternative to the hydroxychloroquine. You can get it over the counter, take it with zinc. Vitamin C, get outside, get exercise, eat healthy, drink your water, and I have not been fearful of it this entire time. Maybe, when we were looking into what's going on, I've not been scared, I've not been sick, and I've been around the worst of the worst, but the lockdowns are causing a lot more harm than they are good. Emotional issues, depression, suicides, just the mental health of everybody. And just living in fear in itself it's just no way to live. And it's un-American to take away freedoms based on a false narrative.
So if you could tell our listeners anything, what would you say?
Be brave, be bold, and step outside of your comfort zone. If you see something, say something, and think about future generations to come. If you don't fight right now, then who's going to do it? Who's going to fight? For me, it's my kids. It's your kids. It's our future generations, and the time is now to step up and change the world. We can't let them steal this from us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.